sitting at people's desks. I sat with Mike, a couple of the other guys here, and just literally listened to them on the phone, did a couple things, made some realtor boxes and things like that. Just kind of learned a little bit about what they did. Really nothing nitty gritty or any details behind it, but I always heard, that it was a great career path, and all the guys in the office said they loved it. And they really wouldn't change anything at all. They're set with this for life kind of thing. And I thought that was awesome because, for one, growing up in this industry, like I really had one thought about it, like, oh, realtor's like the only, aspect to it.
Right.
And, at that age, I really didn't know about what an LO even was.
Right.
And then I took that 40 hours back, senior year of college. And I was like, oh, this really isn't what I want to do. And so I talked to my mom after that, after taking the 40 hours. I was like, Mom, I'm not trying to get my real estate license and just kind of follow in your footsteps, right? Because how am I going to grow as a person if I'm just, being handheld at a showing with my mom, like, frankly. And that's kind of where I said, I was like, what do you think if I give that guy Mike another shot?
All right, guys, this was a fun episode. Had on Rocco DiPietro, my right-hand man in the office. Rocco is a young man. He's been working by my side for about a year and a half, works super hard, goes above and beyond every single day. We could all learn a thing or two from him. Enjoy the episode. All right, guys, here we are on another episode of The Mic Drop, powered by Premier Mortgage Lending. I've got my young friend here, Rocco DiPietro, on the show with me today. How are you, Rocco?
I'm doing great. Super excited to be here.
Oh, are you?
Very excited.
Wonderful. Me and Rocco spend about, 50 to 60 hours a week together. He's my right-hand man here in the office, and he's doing a killer job. So, Rocco, the reason I wanted to have you on, right, is the tagline when we created the show way back when was connecting community to success, right? So the idea is I want the community, everybody watching and listening, to hear from somebody who has been successful in some way, shape, form, whatever the saying is, right? And you've been here just for a couple years, and you've really taken off. You've done very well. So I wanted to have you on just so we could talk a little bit about your story, how you've gotten here, and the things you've accomplished so far.
Awesome. Well,
right?
That sounds great.
All right. Okay. So let's do this. I always have people kind of come in and tell a little bit about themselves. So tell me a little about yourself, where you grew up, your environment, things that you watched in life, how where you got your work ethic from, all that good stuff.
Right. So, growing up, I lived in Wyndham, born and raised in Wyndham, or actually born down in Boston, but lived my whole life in Wyndham, through the Wyndham schools. Then I ended up going to college at UNH, finance degree, took a couple of real estate classes, wasn't totally interested in it, but kind of always been surrounded by, real estate in the general industry, with my mom being a real estate agent as well as my dad being a builder. So I was always at open houses when I was young. Going down to, new construction lots with my dad. We'd bring the dogs down there. We'd take them for walks down there. So we were always kind of like, I was always surrounded by it, but never really knew what was going on. I was just kind of there. Mm-hmm. And then, so let's fast forward to senior year of college. My mom's like, all right, take the real estate course. So I did the 40 hours. And I was like, this is boring. I don't really want to do this with my life. And I saw how hard they worked, and she was gone, had to leave 9 a.m. on a Saturday to bring a client to a showing or an open house. Thinking about it, I kind of never really wanted to put myself in those shoes. Not that it's not what obviously it's a great career path, and you can do very well and be very successful in that. But I kind of wanted to have, more control of my life and what I can do. And that's kind of where you came into things.
In what way? Sorry to interrupt you. And I want I want you to keep going with that thought, right? Because you said where I came in and made your life better is what I think you were going to say.
Yeah.
So you said you want to have more control.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
So meaning, like, let's say, on a Saturday, that same client that went to the showing with my mom might need an updated pre-approval, which I can just do from my computer.
Oh, you mean like time schedule, all that
exactly.
Good stuff.
So I can kind of control my schedule and really time block it. And obviously, if you get that call, you answer and you do your best to get back right away. But obviously, you might not be in a position to do that right at that moment. But you don't need to, drop what you're doing and take off to a house to go meet someone in 15 minutes.
Right. Yeah, it's true. What is kind of cool about our gig versus being a real estate agent, because it's funny, right? Because we both kind of do the same thing. We play a very significant role in the transaction of somebody buying a house.
Totally.
Right. But what we do on the finance side, it can all be done remotely these days, right? Either on the phone, email, computer, where we don't actually physically have to go out and sit down and bring people around. And so time wise, right? We can get a lot more done in the same amount of time that a real estate agent can. So I hear what you're saying there, and I full on.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
I wanted to make sure that was what you were trying to say.
Exactly what I was trying to say.
Because if you're trying to say something different, I want to understand that.
Right.
So talk about the part when I came in now.
So actually, prior to, it's probably my freshman year at college, over winter break, I actually met Mike a long time ago before that. I think actually at an open house that he was at with my mom. And, it was just a quick meeting. He's like quick, hi, hello, I'm Mike, I'm Rocco. But, after that, it was probably freshman year, winter break. Mom's like, you're not staying home. You're not doing nothing. You're not just going skiing and hanging out with your friends. So I ended up going in, seeing what Mike was.
Awesome, by the way.
I ended up going into Mike's office and just literally sitting at people's desks. I sat with Mike, a couple of the other guys here, and just literally listened to them on the phone, did a couple of things, made some realtor boxes and things like that. Just kind of learned a little bit about what they did. Really nothing nitty gritty or any details behind it, but I always heard, that it was a great career path, and all the guys in the office said they loved it. And they really wouldn't change anything at all. They're set with this for life kind of thing. And I thought that was awesome because, for one, growing up in this industry, like I really had one thought about it, like, oh, realtor's like the only, aspect to it.
Right.
And, at that age, I really didn't know about what an LO even was.
Right.
And then I took that 40 hours back, senior year of college, and I was like, oh, this really isn't what I want to do. And so I talked to my mom after that, after taking the 40 hours. I was like, Mom, I'm not trying to get my real estate license and just kind of follow in your footsteps, right? Because how am I going to grow as a person if I'm just, being handheld at a showing with my mom, like, frankly. And that's kind of where I said, I was like, what do you think if I give that guy Mike another shot? So I ended up calling Mike.
Well, let's take it back a step, right? Do you remember what you really did that 8 weeks over your, maybe not even 8, maybe it was like 3 or 4 weeks over winter break?
I almost killed one, is what I did.
With the blinds?
Yep.
Right? So, you being an intern, we put you to work doing intern types of things. You did a lot of data entry. I remember we gave you like a stack of shit to enter and use that to enter away.
I loved it.
And then we needed new blinds. This was in the old office hung. And you and what was the other kid's name?
His name was Matt.
Matt.
Yeah.
He was a redheaded kid, right?
Yeah.
Real nice kid. I wonder where he is. Matt, if you're around out there, give us a call. But I said, all right, you guys go to Home Depot, get blinds for all these windows and hang them up. I figured, your dad building hundreds of houses over the years, you had maybe at least, picked up a drill once. Not so much.
Couple times. Right?
He hung blinds above Juan's head, and when Juan went to pull the string, the whole thing came down on him, and all the blinds were hung up like backwards, and like I was like, "Come on, dude, let's go." But
in my defense, there was like some metal up above those, and it didn't hang right.
Yeah, no, the effort was there. The effort was absolutely there. So it was funny though, because when you were with us for that month or whenever it was, you didn't really say much, right? Well,
Nope.
you're a young kid and you're
Right.
probably a little shy, and it can be a little intimidating going to an office.
Totally.
So you didn't say much, so I didn't really get to know you much at all at that time. And then even when you were about to say you called me back, it was actually before you finished school.
Yeah, it was.
It was
I was
probably in the
licensed by the
spring.
time I was out of school.
Right. So talk about that, right? Because that speaks to your work ethic a little bit too, and kind of your focus, which I liked.
Right. So it's actually funny. There was a career fair. I think that it was probably on a Friday that I gave you a call, but on that Saturday there was a career fair, and I'm like, I'm going to go there, look around, talk to my buddies who are already there, and probably not even make any real connections with any employers. Never mind, did I want to have a traditional, 9-to-5 desk job that I'm, doing whatever, accounting, finance, whatever it may be. Having, I don't want to say I didn't want to go there because I didn't know what opportunities would be there, but it was almost the fact that I was like, I kind of know, Mike here, and I know there's definitely a great opportunity there, and kind of can still work in that field with my mom as not a resource, but as almost a comfort level, just to know, she has this experience. My dad's on the other end too, on the builder side of things. And then if I can get in with Mike and really learn from him, I'll have angles from every direction in this industry. And that's why I thought that would be, a great opportunity rather than being locked up at a 9-to-5 desk job.
Yeah, totally.
But back to kind of how I got licensed was, I took the course, roughly probably a month or two before I graduated. I did that I think I did it in a week, and then I ended up taking the actual test about 2 or 3 weeks after I took that, and I think it was kind of just before finals. I took the LO test, right? And I did fail it. I got a 73, which is 2 points short. But I was juggling a couple of things at the time.
Well, I mean, you said right before finals, so
Right.
you had a lot of other shit going on. But it's also not uncommon to fail that exam on the first shot.
Right.
For anyone out there who's never taken it or gone through that process, right? There's a lot of material condensed into 125 multiple choice questions, and it can be heavy in one end when you take it, and when I take it next week, it can be heavy in this material. So it is difficult. So the fact that you failed it doesn't really. I'm actually not even going to say that you failed it. The fact you didn't pass it on the first try, to me, it wasn't saying anything bad or anything. When you called me and told me that, I'm like, no big deal. Just study up and do it again.
Exactly. And then I took it literally, I think a month to the day, because you have to wait 30 days.
Yeah.
And I passed it that time. But I studied, and it was not bad at all. So
yeah, that's awesome. Now, you've got a very strong work ethic, because the second you came in, Rocco, one thing I respect about you and I really like about you, right, is even if you don't necessarily know how to do something fully yet, right, you just go for it and you start trying, right? And that is the most important fucking thing that so many people don't want to do, right? Just start, right? And I remember you came in and I'm like, all right, start calling these people, start reaching out to these people, right? Because you came in and from the very beginning, I said, hey, you want to work with me? You want to work with me on my little team here and help me with my clients and, kind of work as a group? You said, yeah, sure. Because the other option was go out and just do it 100% on your own, which you could have done too. But I figured to come in and kind of stick by my side and we'd kind of navigate this thing together. And right off the bat, you jumped right on. I said, call these people. You started calling them. I remember I had a bunch of old Zillow leads. Remember that? You want to tell the story? You want me to?
you can tell a story.
So there were a number of leads that I had from, Zillow when I had bought them before in the past. And, nobody had called them in quite some time. So I said, all right, Rocco, call these people up and say, how you doing? My name's Rocco DiPietro. I'm with Premier Mortgage Lending. I see that you inquired through Zillow a while back. That you wanted to look at this property and potentially get pre-approved. Have you done anything with that? Yes, no, and we'll kind of, I told you, go in different directions based on what they say. So he goes, all right, yeah, I can do that. Right? And so his first call, he's sitting right next to me. And he calls up. He goes, hey, my name's Rocco DiPietro. Shit, fuck. And then hangs up the phone. I'm like, you cannot do that. I'm like, that's something you cannot do. That is unacceptable behavior. You're going to get yourself into trouble doing that.
I think I've come a long way.
Well, that's the point of the story, right? That's the point of the story, is you didn't let that overly fluster you and say, I can't do this. Whereas a lot of people would. They'd throw in the towel there and be like, I can't do this. I'm too nervous and I just can't do it. Well, it's hard anytime anything you do for the first time is going to be difficult.
Right.
You have to accept that, and you have to say, all right, well, it's just going to take reps here. It's just going to take practice. Nobody goes out and tries something for the first time and is absolutely awesome at it. So I said, you know what? Shake it off and call the next one and call the next one. And at first, I'm like, I don't know if this kid's going to be able to do this. I mean, he sounds a little choppy on the phone.
I'm not going to lie. The thought crossed my head, but I actually...
What, of bailing?
Not bailing, but I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, can I? Like, I was asking myself, like, not like actually telling people. I was just like, can I do this? I'm like, oh yeah, I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was sitting in the conference room because I didn't want anyone to hear me talking.
Yeah.
And I remember you kind of came in while I was on the phone, and you're like, oh, you actually sound better. And like, it was probably, I don't know, a week or so after that first call. And I was like, yeah, I'm starting to kind of get the hang of it and kind of know what I'm saying and kind of, know how to handle some responses. Obviously, some people just don't want to hear you and kind of get you off the phone. But I remember you said to me, you're like, all right, by the end, it might have been that day, but you said to me, by the end of you had to go on a shoot or something like that. You were going to do something else. You were leaving the office for a couple hours. You're like, by the time I get back, you're going to have someone who wants to get pre-approved. And I know, like, those past couple of days, I'd take a couple of those hard phone calls, people kind of telling you no. And I really wasn't used to it yet. So I kind of said, sometimes I would hang up the phone and wait, five or so minutes, kind of walk around, go see what other people are doing just to, get over that and get
just
ready.
to stall calling the next one.
Exactly. That's the real reason. And then you said that to me. And at that point, I literally dialed, they said, no, okay. Dialed, and I just kept going. And I did get one that day.
Yeah.
So that was one of the best feelings ever, actually. Yeah.
Well, it's awesome. And the thing is, when you do something challenging, right?
Yep.
And you see a little bit of success, then it makes you say, oh, wait, I can do this.
Right.
Now I just got to do it again and do it again. And, in sales, any type of sales, right? Whether you're trying to sell a mortgage to somebody or sell yourself to a real estate agent to give them confidence, to give them the confidence that you can do a good job for them, right?
Right.
There's going to be a lot of no's along the way. You know what I mean? Like, no. And the way I've always looked at it is, all right, fine. Keep telling me no. That's just getting me closer to somebody saying yes.
Right.
Right? And the only way you're going to get that yes is if you rip through a lot of no's. The only way you're going to get a lot of no's is if you pick up your activity and you dial the phone a lot. Right? And that's one thing that you've done a real good job at is activity-wise, you crank. So let me ask you this when it comes to that, right? What is it? What are you smiling about?
I like making calls.
Yeah, you like making calls,
I do.
right? What is it that gives you that kind of drive inside, that work ethic? Because let me. All right, you go. You're gonna tell me, and then I'm gonna share a thought with you.
So, frankly, both my parents are very successful, and I want to be very successful. I know that in this business you can be very successful, and as you've told me many times, that starts with activity. And going back, we have a meeting every Wednesday, and you always say to all the guys in the room, don't expect to do business in a week or a day after you meet somebody and expect everything to be great and you're closing 10 million a year with that one agent, right? You always say the blind faith in the activity, and I've really grasped that, and I truly believe blind faith in the activity, whether it be from ex-agent that I met yesterday or one from 2 months ago that I met, and just kind of keep building that relationship and keep doing the things on a day-to-day basis that are going to end up in the long run bringing in that business and ultimately helping me and you grow as a team and overall loan production.
I could cry. It's amazing, right? So I've got 20 loan officers here, in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, right? And you probably more so than anybody else, listen to me when I say those things, and you believe in it, and then you do it, and it happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, Mike says, do the activity. That's all I ever did. Well, I just called a ton of people, met with a ton of people, went to a ton of events, activity, and then shit'll happen.
Right. Some of the stuff I hear kind of just around the office in general, I'm not going to name any names, but it's people trying to reinvent the wheel when the wheel's not broken, you know?
It's just, you need to spin that wheel faster.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? To get where you want to go. Wow, that was a good little thing. I never even thought of that. The wheel's got to spin faster to get you there.
Right.
And it's the truth. So one thing I was going to, and I'm glad you brought up your mom and your dad being successful, right? Because it's funny, right? When you've got, parents that do very well, right? And I think I asked you if you ever had a job before, and you said no, right?
No, when I was 16, I worked at Hilltop. But that was my first real job.
But there's a point to this, right?
Right.
So you know what I mean? That you grew up and you grew up in a household where a lot was provided for you, right? And sometimes my concern even with my own kids, right, is am I giving them too much where they're not going to want to work hard to accomplish all the things that that I want them to accomplish and be successful because they've been given too much, right?
Right, okay. And that's definitely a concern. But even if I'm to have a family and kids, I would think the same thing as you. But it's just kind of that thing when it depends on the kid, obviously. But I always saw, Saturday, Sunday morning, we were going somewhere, whether it be a game and then to my mom's showing, or whether it be, at the age I couldn't stay home. I had to go with my dad to the office or wherever the hell he was going.
Right.
So I always knew they both always work 7 days a week.
Right.
My whole life they always did.
Well, that's my point.
Right.
You got it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can. You know what I mean? Like you're a special person, and that you have this super drive to be successful, and and it's not because you had to suffer or grow up in a tough situation
Right.
to try to be successful. No, you kind of did it in the opposite way. And I think that's just as cool. You know what I mean? It's there's just as much to be respected there as there is the other way, because you saw it. The fact that you were going to your games or going to your sister's games, but then going to an open house or going to your dad's office doing what you need to do, because your parents both have super strong work ethics. Super strong, right? Mm-hmm. You were telling me your dad's out of the house by 6:30 every day, right?
Yeah, probably earlier.
Yeah, just gone off work. And I know I've worked with your mom for years. Like, she's always on, always running around doing things, always busy. And that was passed on to you just by you watching them.
Right.
So well done, Shannon and Rocco. Honest to God. Seriously, you know what I mean? Like, I think that is the most important characteristic that a person can have when it comes to work, obviously, is just straight up work ethic. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to, have all these other creative ideas. No, you need to work hard. You need to work hard, have a plan. And if you have a plan, then you just execute, right? And that's what I say all the time, right? If we're trying to get, if we're trying to start working with a bunch of new real estate agents, it's all right. Well, what we need to do in order to do that is call, 50 of them a day.
Right.
Right. And then you just do it. It makes it easy to implement that plan.
And I think the other thing for me is, especially about this place, it's we're all kind of competing against each other. And in that way, we're not rivals or enemies or whatever.
No, it's healthy competition.
Exactly. It's healthy competition, and something my whole life, like, having two sisters, like, I can't lose to my sisters, you know what I mean? Or my friends. Like, that's my biggest thing is, like, I just like to win.
Yeah.
I hate friggin' losing. Losing's just leaves that terrible feeling inside you.
I know. We had an episode a few weeks ago.
Oh, come on.
When we were playing pool and Rocco lost that night and he stormed out of here. A little upset that he lost.
I did.
But you know what? It's good to have that fire inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Winning is important, right? It's not everything, right? But winning is important when you're in especially in work, right? If you're in a sales environment and, you're driven by, again, healthy competition, by seeing what someone else doing, be like, not that you want to take away from them. I want to get to where they are.
Right.
And I want to, rise past them. That's a good thing.
Right.
Right. And that's a good characteristic to have when you're trying to, kind of keep going and rise up. So, you work directly with me, right? You and I work as a team. And I can tell you, there's a lot of times when I'm not able to take a call or get back to somebody, and you drop anything. I'll text you, and you'll jump right on it anytime, right?
Right.
What is it inside of you that makes you at 7:30 at night when I text you, say, hey, can you call this person back? You jump right on it. Because that's something young people need to have more of, and you do.
I mean, honestly, it's like if I'm sitting there on the couch doing nothing, and this person needs something, and whether it's not needed till the next day at 5 o'clock because there's an offer deadline. It's like, if I make that call right at 7:30 when they reached out 5 minutes ago, they're like, wow, this guy's really on top of it. He's going to, give me the best service possible. Why would I not work with this guy, for years to come,
Right.
never mind just their first purchase, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
So you kind of make that relationship by doing, going that extra mile on whether it just be that like a simple updated pre-approval, or a full application, whatever it may be.
Yeah, from the very beginning.
Right.
Right? You want to show them how you can perform and how you'll deliver. The best part about that, Rocco, is you didn't say it's about the money.
Right.
Because it's not about the money. It's about being awesome.
Right.
And that's what more young people, you're what, 23 now?
23,
23,
yep.
right? 23 years old, and you work harder than probably most people I've met in my life, right? So, and you're more responsive, and you're not worried about, what you're, going out doing some bullshit that, everybody who's 23 years old does, right? You're like, all right, I'm on it. I'll get on it. I'll make it happen. And that's awesome, right? That's what it takes, people, to be awesome at something, is jumping on it anytime. Anytime somebody needs something, you get on it and you show them what you're made of. And that's huge. So you've been here how long now?
So I started June of 2021, June 1st.
All right. So it's kind of good, right? In your first
year and a half.
It's kind of good, right? In your first year and a half, you've experienced some real craziness from this market.
Right.
Right?
Definitely.
So talk a little bit about what it was like the end of June to the end of 2021. What were we doing?
So when I first started, these guys were doing, I wasn't on the team yet, but Mike had a small team. These guys were closing like 40, 50 loans a month. So when I started, I was in between just doing Zillow calls and sitting with the people on his team and learning from them, and just I would literally just sit there and search in loans and just see people's income. I'd see just random things, and I would kind of just ask questions and try to be a sponge and just absorb anything I could, and then gradually I kind of just learned more and still just sat there by people's desks, by Mike's desk, listening to him on the phone, and I heard how he was talking to clients and I would say probably 60-75% of those were all refinances, which
more probably in 21.
Yeah, rates were what, 2.5, 3, back then. And then as we moved into January, or towards the end of the year, that started to fade off, and rates kind of steadily climbed through January. Probably let's call it into June when all the refinances went to a dead stop. Literally dead stop.
Yeah, it was even earlier than that because they just went so quickly.
It was probably February, March when rates were probably up at what, 5.5, 6. So
they were still fairly low, but the challenging thing was people so used to them being in the 3s.
Right.
Then when they jumped to 4, 4.5, everyone kind of stopped with any of the refis, and then the market completely slowed down towards the end of the year, and the rates. I mean, by the end of the year, rates were in the shit. I mean, maybe, probably over 7 then.
Yeah. They were.
Yeah. I mean, well, they were over 7 in November, dropped back down a little bit. But it's kind of good for you to go from, a super low rate environment to a significantly higher rate environment. Still not super high overall, like in, the history of interest rates. But you got to see that transition from refinances to all purchase business pretty quickly. And what we do this whole year.
Right. And it's also that I've had no expectation of what a day-to-day looks like. And then, going from kind of super easy, cut and dry loans, like, I want 50 grand cash out and you're going to lower my rate 2%.
Right.
It's not really even a sell. It's like, oh, I'm going to save you $600 and you're going to get 50 grand.
Right.
It's like, it's really not much to talk about. It's a 5-minute phone call and loans in process, basically.
Yeah.
But now you really have to kind of do that legwork and really, show your client that you're going to be the guy for them, and you're going to, provide them all their answers to the questions and be there for them every step of the way. Which is just, it's totally different because, I've worked with a couple of clients for, over a year now.
Yeah.
Who, just recently closed or even still looking,
Yeah.
And it's funny. I think since the New Year's hit, we've seen some people resurface from a year and a half ago. Right when I started, I'm like, oh, I remember these guys. This is like right when I started. I wonder how I was then compared to now. It's actually kind of funny.
It is kind of funny, and that's what happens. Like and I've been doing this almost 20 years, right?
Right.
So I have clients that I've worked with 5, 6, 7 times over, and that's what's kind of cool about this business too. It's a relationship business. Not only, it's like in the office, we have our relationship, because for those of you that don't know the way it works, Rocco's not a loan officer out on his own. You work on, not my loans because they fall under my name, but we work on all of the loans together, right?
Right.
It's a team effort, him and I. So if you can't get one of us, the other one's there. You know what I mean? And it's been cool that you get to see the ups and downs of the market just in a year and a half.
Right. And also going back to how you said at the very start, when I first joined on the company, you're like, do you want to do this on your own, or do you want to, join me and see what we can do? I had no expectation and, had no idea what loans even really were.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, let me go with Mike. And I can't even thank him enough for giving me that decision, because, frankly, I don't think I'd be in the business at this time if I went the other way, because how many loans I've seen to this point? Probably 500?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Maybe 400 or 500. So,
yeah, definitely.
The experience has been great.
It's been awesome. You've done a great job. And for those of you that are considering or at least interested in the field, finding somebody that you can work with for a bit, getting on a team, coming in as even like a loan officer assistant,
right.
You're not that. But that's a good way to get into it, Just diving headfirst into the business in a challenging market. Really, any market is challenging, right? Can be super difficult and almost like demoralizing, because it's hard. And you're like, fuck, I can't do this, But coming in and working on a team is a good way to get in, get trained up, learn, and kind of ramp your way up from there. So if you want to try to branch out on your own someday, I'll just have to break your legs, because I don't think that I want you to do that. I want you to stay with me. No, but like if somebody does want to do do that. You know what I mean? That's a good way to kind of get in, get going, and get started,
totally.
right? So let's talk about this, right? So again, when I started off the pod in the beginning here, right? I said connecting community to success, right? So success in some way, right? This business financially you can do very well, right?
Right.
Coming out of college, what type of money do you think you'd have? Did you think you would have the ability to earn in the first year or two?
You know, I really didn't have any expectation. I would say 50,000.
Right. Because that's really what
60 maybe, I don't know.
50, 60.
Yeah.
That's really where most people kind of start off these days. Do you have any idea what you earned last year?
2022?
Yeah.
I do.
How much?
150.
150.
Yeah.
That's really good for your first full year out in the business. That's awesome. I didn't even know that. That's why I asked you. I would have to like look to see, right? So, and that was in one of the most challenging years I've seen, and that was the most challenging year I've seen in all, I think, 18 years of doing this job. And you came in and you did a really good job, and that's why you were able to earn that type of income. It's through hard work, effort, and consistency, right? I've said it 1,000 times over. It's all about being consistent, showing up every single day and consistently putting in the effort, right? One area where a lot of people fall short is they'll come out with a burst of effort. They don't see any results, then they back off from the effort, right? Rather than do that, do exactly what you've done. You show up every day. You're consistent. You prospect. You call our buyers back. You get back in touch with the agents to let them know what's going on. You know what I mean? You need help, you come to me. You know, so you've earned every penny of that. What are some of your long-term goals? Well, actually, you did some big shit this year, right? You did, right? So what'd you do? Tell me a couple of things that you've accomplished this year.
So I moved in with my girlfriend, my wonderful girlfriend, Angelina, who also works for Mike.
Yep, I brought them together.
He did.
Matchmaker again.
He is. Like a little Cupid arrow he shot from his cube to mine.
No, I didn't.
Kind of weird, sorry.
Yeah.
But so we moved in together.
That's awesome.
Over at the Tuscan Apartments.
When was that?
That was June of this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Middle of June.
6 months already.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It actually flew by, but I also bought a car, which is
pretty awesome.
My first big purchase in my own name.
Yep.
I'm very happy about that.
What kind of car did you buy?
It's an Audi A6.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
It's pretty cool what hard work can do and provide for you.
Right.
Right. You know, money doesn't buy happiness. It absolutely does not buy happiness. But one thing that money does do is it removes stress.
Right.
Right. Money removes stress. At least financial stress anyway. And it makes everything else easier in your life when you're not carrying financial stress. So good for you. That's awesome.
Thanks.
You have some money saved up?
I do.
Good.
I do.
What are your long-term plans? What are you going to do?
Definitely.
Let's start short-term. Next few years. What do you want to do?
I mean, next few years, I'm definitely looking to, buy a house.
Yep. What kind of house? Single family, multifamily?
Definitely a single
Condo?
family. A nice single family, nice yard, nothing crazy, not too big. So I can, have a comfortable payment, even if it's not bringing me, not any stress at all, let's say.
Yeah.
Let's say a nice comfortable payment where I'm still making much more than that and saving money every single month, planning for the future, right?
Yep.
Planning to have a family, planning, to be able to go on a vacation when I have this family.
Take your time.
What do you mean?
With the family.
We're doing
I don't want you having kids right now, Rocco.
No, not gonna. Definitely not gonna. That's some time away, a long time away.
Yeah.
But that starts now for me. I want to save a ton of money every year. I'm not trying to, get by or overextend myself or leverage myself too much. I hear all these kids who want to pick up, 5 multifamilies the next 5 years, one a year. I'm like, that sounds crazy, in my opinion. But
yeah, I think it is, right? Especially when you're 23 years old, you have a lot of time in your life, right? If you want to buy an investment property at some point, sure, right? But you got to do it. You
say money alleviates some financial stress,
right?
But money buying a investment property can actually bring you stress.
Sure can.
That's kind of what I think about that.
It can. You know what I mean? A lot of people watch a lot of YouTube videos and Instagram and HGTV and all this shit, right? And just because they're in the business, 'cause a lot of folks in the business that do that, these younger people, right? It's like, no, you want to set yourself up so when you're ready to do something like that, you have more than enough money behind you. You're in a position where, if those apartments are empty for 3-6 months, no big deal, right? That's the way you want to do it. You want to take your time. want to take your time. You want to act when the market's in, you want to act on it when the market is in a position for you to actually invest. You know what I mean? Like gobbling up multifamilies over the last 2 years didn't really make a whole lot of sense when they were sky high through the roof and rents barely covered, your mortgage payments.
Right.
Will it at some point? Absolutely. That's when you gobble them up, But you got a good head on your, I almost said shoulders on your head. Good head on your shoulders, Rocco. That's the smart way to think about it. It's actually pretty cool too that you kind of rounded out, a couple parts of your family where you get your dad building houses, your mom was the agent, now you're a loan officer to jump in the middle there.
We've done some deals with everyone involved, so that's
Have we
been
done
very
one
cool.
with your mom and your dad?
Yeah, over at
At
Hannafin.
Hannafin.
Yeah,
right.
I think we've done 2 or 3.
Yeah, we did a
actually.
few of them up there.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
Do you guys when you're at the house, do you sit and talk about the deals?
We have talked about them before.
That's kinda cool.
We definitely have, and it's funny because a couple of them we needed something for my dad, and Cassie's our COO. She'd be like, "Hey, do you want to ask your dad for this?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll ask him." When usually it's kind of
and would he get it right over, or should Cassie have asked?
I'll ask him. I'll get you in 2 days, 3 days, and he never sends it.
But we were fine anyway.
Yeah, we
I
were.
mean, it was some condo doc or something.
Yeah,
he needed.
exactly.
All right, hey, that's awesome, buddy. I want you to be super successful in everything you want to do. I want you to hit all your goals. I mean, I think it's really, really pretty. It's something that at 23 years old, you've already got the head start that you've got right now. And I think you can do anything you want to do just because of your work ethic and your drive. What message would you send out there to, younger people that are kind of getting going, whether they want to get into this business or any business? What's some good advice you give?
Well, definitely, set your mind to something and just do it. Just go for it. Any barrier that's in your way, you can really blow through it if you have the right mindset and really just, put your head to it and work hard every single day. Doing something for 6 hours one day and then 2 the next day. And then, it's kind of, on the back burner, you say, you're never going to get it done.
Right.
You might chip away at it, but the more you do stuff like that, you're never going to actually, dive into it and make a career out of it. Or let's say it's not even for money or a career. Like if you're building a shed or something like that, you just have setbacks the more you do that type of stuff because other things come up in your life. So you really just need to go full force with whatever you're doing every single day.
Yeah, I think it's great advice. I couldn't agree more. Hard work, effort, and then you get the results. All right, Rocco. Hey, I can't wait to see what you do. This year, me and you are going to blow it out, right? We're going to have the comeback after 2022. 2023 as a team. What are we going to hit? 100 million?
100 million.
All right, buddy. We got it. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Use this kid as a model of something to follow because everything he is doing is absolutely working. He will be super successful in life. See you guys.